Peace, everybody. It's the coolest legend there is, the Kool DJ Red Alert. One of the pioneer DJs in the beginning of hip-hop culture, right along with my buddy right here.
Yeah. You know, having accessibility to people who are notable, people, other artists, let's just say that, okay, who are in the grind. You know, that accessibility is something that has dwindled down, you know, in my lifetime during last couple of decades. The accessibility of my artist friends have become far and few.
But you know, one thing I'm happy to say that within, I forgot what amount of time it had been that we had came across path each other while we was on our way traveling down to Atlanta. It was probably meant for us to come across each other again. So I'm happy that happened, you know, because right in the beginning stages of me starting to be involved with communications such as radio, you actually came to meet me. We met each other around that same time at a club that we worked at together. Not knowing where we was going from there, but look how it is, full circle, right back together.
Yeah, and that's a powerful example for cats who are still grinding, you know, who are faced with decisions or, you know, trying to get off that corner or get out the neighborhood, whatever it may be, you know.
Yes.
You know, we can't do it, you know, getting held back, all the excuses. There's no excuses, man.
No excuses. I mean, excuses not gonna make it no better. If it can, then, you know, all the best to you. Meanwhile, you gotta go forth.
Yeah, right on.
You don't want to be the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You know, you want to be, yeah, I did it, I done it, it happened, what it became.
Like, I know you from the projects, you know, from Harlem, uptown, you know, but I want to know more about the details of that. I could say, oh, I'm from this place, and that's it. That's what most of the time people ask. I want to know who was sitting at your dinner table at 8 years old. You know, tell us more about the neighborhood. Give us something to wrap our head around, because that was a different time.
I come up in Harlem, lower part of Harlem, around 111th Street, between 7th and 8th, 234. That's the building number. I'm happy still I know that. But during the time that my parents was back and forth going to the JOB, I had to be attended to as a child, so I wound up being with my grandparents further up in a project called Colonial, now called Ralph J. Rangels, right behind the Polo Grounds. And I was raised by my grandparents, and their descent is from Antigua. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in a West Indian tradition. That's what it was. So yes, it was a point where you have to learn all the traditions, what is in the house amongst your grandparents as well, with my brothers and my sister. And the funny part about it, because once I started to be reaching out to being in nursery and school and everything and make friends, when they came by, I'm so accustomed to what it is in the household. When they heard my grandparents talk, they say, oh, your grandparents from the islands? I didn't know no better. I said, no, they from here. And then when they saw the type of food that we eat, they say, oh, you eat Jamaican food? I said, no, food is food. But I did not know that they looked at it different for what I'm accustomed to until it was opened up to me later on. So that's what it was like in the household.
Yeah. Grandma's in the house, that's the matriarch, she running stuff.
Yes.
There's no shorts,
no.
You know, you don't overstep any boundaries.
Yeah.
Tell me how that translated into how you walked outside of the house.
Well, you know, a lot of people may not understand, growing up in the housing development, AKA the projects, is an area where you have to learn to be built as a soldier at an early stage. I think it was a double standard for myself. I'm gonna tell you why. Because growing up, skinny, frail, redhead, freckles, I was notable to be the funny looking one. Mm-hmm. So being teased, being picked on, but you had to build them bones to put up for the battle. So that people stop picking on you or trying you. At the same time, learning how to be in association amongst others within the area. From there, going to public school and to junior high school, you always have the challenges. Now, one thing I have learned, in that household, you knew the do's and don'ts. you go out there, yeah, you still go test the waters where how far you can go, such and such. You get to that door, you straighten up. Checkmate.
Squared.
Checkmate. And not realizing once again the tradition of a West Indian family compared to American family. I'm not knocking at anything, but they have a tradition that they stern about that, and you have to follow accordingly. Now you don't, you gonna catch it, and they give it to you.
For sure, for sure.
And so that's what I have learned. But one thing I'm proud to say that one of the big influence in the household was my older brother. If I didn't look up to him for the ball playing, I was always in his record collection.
When people started actually identifying rap as hip hop, and the music started changing from the overlaps, and how many girls I got, and how I rock my Kango to the side, and my 69ers and Playboys, when it changed from that to I'll murder you, got your daughter tied up in the basement, you kidnapped, when it changed
Yes.
from that to pimps, hoes, drug dealers, murder, money.
Yes.
How did you make that adjustment, man?
Well, there's something that I always had learned, that the streets is always going to remain regardless of what. It's never going to change. The culture of hip hop come from the streets, but at the same token of time, it was a point where we learned to excel ourselves from the certain street elements and just kept the art form focused. Now, when it came to the recording field of rap from the hip hop and the popularity had gained, the people from the streets start focusing and looking more into it than what they was doing. So they want to get more involved with it, but at the same token of time, they bring their element along with it. Otherwise, they coming in not acknowledging too much of the art form, they acknowledging more of the presence and the potential finance. So instead of saying that, well, I don't have to be known to be looking flashy by what I'm doing in the streets. I can do that by making some music, and I still look good, and I'm making it good. But they brought that element along with them. So now, when it comes to the lyrical part, they don't know how to be socially content of the lyrics to speak what artists before them were speaking.
They're just going in.
They just speaking of where they coming from.
Yeah.
And I think a great deal of that coming from out west. And no disrespect to the West, because we embrace the West in a great deal. But while we left alone the gangbang days when I was growing up in high school, the gangbang continued strong out west. As lyrical as Rakim is, being the MC to Eric B, but the image of what he's wearing project to the people in the streets. Because they see that he didn't have to go ahead and become and make according to what they do. He's doing it by rhyming. So what they gonna do? Oh, I wanna make records too. Yo, oh man, you making this and making that. Oh, I wanna be a part of that too. So what they did, they dropped.
Where we come from, we got it thick. You know, the culture is thick, the music was thick,
Yes.
the loving was thick,
Yes.
the resentments, everything was thick. So not to be impressed is not too much for me. But what you've been able to impress me with, not just you in your uniqueness, but in your creativity, is that you've been able to maintain the middle road. in this journey of the transition of rap to hip hop to whatever it's being transitioned into now. I'm not going to say that it's watered down or anything, because what we had is what we had. It may not ever be again. But there's a different language to hip hop now. There's
Yes,
a different,
very much.
There's a different movement to the way hip hop is expressed, right?
Most definitely.
You've been able to maintain the middle road through the decades to include yourself into the fold, or to include others into the hip hop fold. It's gone both ways, Red. How does that happen? How have you maintained that line to keep your peace of mind and stay involved in moving the genre of hip hop